Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Home Alone. Crack! Boom! Chris Vargas snapped his eyes shut and put his hands over his ears. He didn't want to see the lightning or hear the thunder. "Stop it!" he shouted at the storm. "Go away!" Chris didn't like thunderstorms much at all, not since the really bad storm last year when a tornado had pulled the roof off some houses. That was scary, but this time it was even worse. This time Chris was home alone. Earlier, his mother had looked at her watch and frowned. "Chris, I need to take Maria to the doctor's office for her checkup." "But, Mom," Chris answered, "I'm supposed to be at soccer practice in an hour. How am I going to get there?" "Your father should be home in a few minutes," she answered, looking at her watch again. "But I can't wait. Will you be okay staying here alone for a few minutes?" "Of course, Mom. It's no problem. I'll just watch TV until Dad shows up." Chris was settling on the couch when he heard the car horn honk. He ran to the front door. "Chris, remember to lock the door," Mom called from the car window, "and don't open it for anyone except your father." "Okay," Chris yelled back. He closed the door firmly behind him and turned the lock. Just then, he heard a voice from the other room. "See you soon. Bye-bye." It was his dad's voice on the telephone answering machine. Chris pushed the button to hear the whole message. "I hope I caught you before you left for the doctor's office. I'm running late, but I should be home in time to take Chris to his soccer practice. See you soon. Bye-bye." "Great," Chris said out loud. "I hope he's not late." He settled back on the couch. Ring! It was the phone again. Maybe it's Dad, Chris thought as he raced back to the kitchen. "Hello? Hi, this is Coach Terwilliger. We have to cancel soccer practice today because of the weather." "What weather?" Chris asked. "There are supposed to be thunderstorms this afternoon," Coach answered. "We'll try again tomorrow at the same time." As soon as Chris hung up, he went to the window to look outside. "Wow, there are a lot of black clouds over that way," he said, "and they're moving this way." He went back to the TV. "I hope Dad gets here soon." Chris turned up the sound on the television so he couldn't hear the rumble of the thunder as the storm got closer. Then something happened that he couldn't ignore. Crack! Boom! The TV snapped off. So did every light in the house. "Oh no," Chris mumbled. "Come on, Dad, get home." Even though it was the middle of the afternoon, it was getting darker and darker outside and inside. Crack! Boom! Every time the lightning flashed, Chris shut his eyes and covered his ears. "Dad, hurry up," he moaned. All he could think about was what had happened the last time there was a scary storm. "I hope it's not a tornado. I hope it's not a tornado," he repeated to himself as he ran down the hall to get his flashlight. He had to feel around on his desk to find it, and when he clicked it on, the first thing he saw was his Sabbath school lesson. Without even trying, he remembered the story of Joseph. When he was afraid and in trouble, God was with him. Crack! Boom! Chris stopped and prayed, "God, I don't want to be home alone in this storm. Please send Dad home quick, or send Mom back from the doctor's office early. Thank you. Amen." Chris ran back to the living room to see if his dad's car was in the driveway. It wasn't. "Come on, God," he thought. "You promised to help me." Crack! Boom, boom! The storm was getting worse. The wind howled by the windows. Rain pounded on the roof. "God," Chris cried out loud, "send my Mom or Dad home. Don't you know how scary this is? You promised to help me like you helped Joseph." "I'll call Dad at his office," Chris decided. He ran to the phone and yanked it off the hook. There was no dial tone. It was dead. "No, no, no!" Chris ran back and threw himself on the couch. He covered his head with his arms and burrowed down under the couch pillows. "Why won't God help me like he helped Joseph?" he thought. Then he thought again. Wait a minute. God didn't rescue Joseph. He didn't send Joseph home or send his father to find him. For a second, Chris forgot all about the storm. God didn't promise to rescue Joseph. He promised to be with him. I guess that's what he promised me too. This time, Chris closed his eyes without waiting to see lightning. "Dear God, please be with me in this storm. Help me not to be afraid, and keep my family safe wherever they are. Amen." Crack! Boom! Chris just lay there. Somehow, either the storm was moving away, or it just didn't seem so scary. He just lay there in the dark and listened. Before long, he fell asleep. Crack! Chris's eyes popped open. That sounded like a car door slamming, he thought. Chris, are you here? His dad's voice rang out through the house. Over here, Dad, on the couch. Chris could see that it was getting lighter outside again, and the rain had stopped. Are you okay? Dad asked, wrapping Chris up in a hug. I'm sorry I'm so late. I didn't know you were here alone until I stopped by the doctor's office to tell Mom that the soccer practice was canceled. I'm okay, Chris answered. We tried to call from there, Dad added, but the phone wasn't working. I hope you weren't too scared being here all alone. I was a little scared, Chris admitted, but I wasn't alone.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.